To another edition of Smarknado. I'm your host, Eric Druckman. With me, as always, the dirty Dan Aconda, Dan Sesnit. Dan, what's going on?
Oh man, you're gonna hear me speaking really probably quite low today. Lost my voice at Collision this past weekend, and also have to talk to people for a living all day. So it's been a rough week, but fuck if the wrestling wasn't all worth it to me.
100%, man. We'll talk about your experience at Collision later.
Yes, sir.
But first and foremost, we want to talk about what I feel was the best wrestling show of the week. I think that's pretty safe to say.
Yeah.
We had Wrestle Kingdom 18, which took place on January 4th, as it does every single year. So let's just get right into the show. Let's talk about it. Let's dissect it.
Yeah.
All right. First of which, we had the New Japan Rambo to determine the provisional KOPW 2024 champion. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Just
Nope.
kind of had this on in the background while I was doing stuff, so I wasn't really paying too much attention to it.
Definitely didn't watch it. Sorry, New Japan.
Yeah. Hey, it's all good, man. I'm just, that's more of a let's get everybody on the card type match. So
It's a
it
it's a
really is.
Wrestle Kingdom tradition. I totally understand it. Just not enough in it for me to be invested. Just can't.
Yeah, it's their Andre Battle Royal.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yep.
Exactly.
All right. Started off hot though, coming on to the main card with the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match. Catch 2-2 versus Catch 2-2 TJP Francisco Akira. They beat Bullet Club War Dogs, Drilla Maloney, Clark Connors by pinfall. The first thought that comes to my mind is like, what alter ego is this of TJP?
I
First
kind
thought
of
of my
like it.
mind,
It's kind of fucking cool, man.
hear me out. Do you
Okay.
think his like the demon, he is the troll because he is actually a troll on social media in all the wrong ways? Because like, do you think that's
I,
the troll?
I don't think that's what was in his mind when he envisioned this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but maybe. Um, no, I just think it's a cool look, and it's different, and it fits in New Japan. You could he wasn't going to pull that kind of thing off in
Mm-hmm.
America, but it works in New Japan, and again another killer match. Say what you will about fucking Finley, right, as the leader of the Bullet Club, but
Yeah,
I really like the rest of the War Dogs.
I,
Um,
I do too. And that being said, Finley is growing on me more as this
a
is going
little.
on. My only criticism with this match, it was frenetic. It was fast paced, as you would expect with every New Japan Junior Heavyweight tag team match. Just wish it went on a little bit longer. You know,
Such a long show, though, man.
it is.
Like it's your opening match. You want to start it hot. I understand the use of it. It was well done.
Yeah. All right. Next, we had Tanahashi going for the New Japan World Television Championship against Zack Sabre Jr.
So
Uh,
we were both fucking wrong.
Yeah, man. Well, at first you kind of convinced me otherwise because at first I said Tana, and then you were like, "Oh, he's not gonna win the championship his first title match as being president of New Japan Pro Wrestling." But here we are, and I gotta say, I think that this is for a greater picture than you're than you just surface level looking at Tanahashi getting the better of Zack Sabre Jr. I think that there are bigger and better things for ZSJ this year. And I'm going to say this right now. You heard it first right here on Smarknado, episode 192. I think
Shit.
that Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be the one to take the belt off of the new champion,
Oh,
Tetsuya Naito.
I think that's a stretch, man.
You think that's a
Uh,
stretch? Really? They've been telling the
yeah.
story with ZSJ for the last 5 years, coming so fucking close. They finally get the belt off him. If you watch the end of New Year Dash, they were highlighting ZSJ and TMDK. You end your show like that going into the new year of New Japan Pro Wrestling with that guy. I think, yeah, I think he is the guy. I think so. And I think that even though my original thought was ZSJ is going to get the belt, he's going to defend it against Bryan Danielson. That's how he's going to get his next win over Bryan Danielson. But that's not to be, because they're going to be having a show on February 18th, which is going to be Ospreay's last show, and they're going to be featuring Bryan Danielson versus ZSJ. So that's going to happen there. But I still stand by the fact that I think that ZSJ is the next guy.
I mean, with Ospreay being on his way out, it's not the most out there idea. I just don't know, man. I will say that on further review, I think it's not great to put the belt on Tanahashi, but if you're going to limit him to 15-minute matches, it's probably for the best.
That's how I see it too. Is like, this guy is, what has he got? Maybe 1 or 2 years left of in-ring competition. So this definitely limits the time that he's going to have in those matches. I think those 30-minute main events were just killing him after a while.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good move. Zach had a solid 1-year run as television champion. Fine, put it to bed, move on to bigger and better things. And
I'll say that I really think that he didn't have enough defenses for a television champion. It didn't feel workhorsey enough. Not that his defenses weren't good, but he didn't have a lot of them for something that you would think would have far more.
Well, when you think about it, how many like big events does New Japan have every single year? And also, the actual New Japan brand itself doesn't have weekly television. So it's not like he's able to like defend it on a consistent basis like that.
Then do you think it's silly to have a TV title?
Kind of. It
right?
should be, the TV title should be like defended on New Japan Strong, something that's episodic every single week.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one way. That's one way I find that New Japan falls really short in the television department.
Right. It would be nice if they had some sort of weekly TV. Really,
especially that we could.
It's an hour show. I think that they could pull off having an hour show every single week. It's not really that much.
Even if they taped it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Next, we have a battle of former New Japan Young Lions, Yuya Uemura versus Yota Tsuji. Man, this was a big surprise to me.
Me too.
Just because, like, I like Uemura. He's just so new at this point, coming back into the fold of New Japan. He's just fresh off excursion back in like October, coming from TNA. And Yota Tsuji has just been pushed pretty heavily since he's come back from excursion. I mean, right off the bat, he got the title match with Sonata. He's constantly put on amazing matches, amazing performance in the G1. And I think that this was a mistake, man. I really do.
This was the second in a long line of head scratchers as far as results are concerned in this show. Like, it was a good show, but there was a lot of results where it just kind of, to me, I was, really?
Yeah.
Like, that's where you're going to go with this? But, their booking is always pretty solid, especially considering that they're not featuring a star right now, right? Like, there's not that Okada that they're featuring, or the Kenny, or the, there's just, it's a really good roster with not a single like standout at this moment to me.
And that's why I think ZSJ can be that, not to bring back to that conversation, but he's going to beat Bryan Danielson in this second match that's coming up within the next month. So that's huge credibility for him going into the rest of the year.
I mean, everybody beats Bryan Danielson now.
Oh, come on. I think it means something a little bit more. But yeah, Tsuji, they need to be realistic and know that this is a guy that, like, they cannot miss on him. And you know what?
Tsuji's a marathon though, not a sprint. Like, that dude's a long-term star. So let's, I don't want to cry buried immediately, right? Like, they trust Uemura, and I get it. So to me, like, it doesn't do anything bad for Tsuji.
No. No. I will say that I think that this feud between these two is what ultimately is going to cause a rift between the civil relationship between LIJ and Just Five Guys.
Yeah,
Because there's still a lot of animosity at New Year's Dash the next day. Yuya and Yoda Tsuji got in each other's faces, and there was a
I didn't
lot of
watch New
tension.
Year's Dash, by the way, so
So
I have
I'll
no
tell you,
idea.
I'll tell you a little bit about New Year's Dash
Okay,
as we go along,
sure.
as it relates to given matches that we go over. But next we had House of Torture, Evil and Ren Narita defeating Shota Umino and Keto Kiyomiya. Easily the most underwhelming match of the entire card, in my opinion.
I
Um,
get that. I get the results there again, but I'm still just not on board with this whole Ren Narita in House of Torture thing. I just
it
think it's
makes talents just regress. Like I don't know. Like I don't see Show the same way I used to, and I used to really love watching Show wrestle.
yeah.
See now that Ren Narita, who is the little carbon copy of Shibata, he's going to be in House of Torture now. He's just going to be doing all these fuckery things in order to get wins,
Mhm.
and it just kind of sucks, man. And honestly, this match should have been Ren versus Shota Umino. And I don't know if they were afraid of doing that because they were doing Yuya versus Yoda. Maybe this was a way to get Evil on the card. They wanted to get Evil on the card. I know they like Kiyomiya for
Yeah.
whatever reason. But yeah, man, it just they they are going to be facing one-on-one Narita and Umino, but this was the place to do it.
Yeah.
It's Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, it is, but you're right. I mean, getting people on the card is important. It's their WrestleMania. The WrestleMania mantra is find a way to get everybody on the card somehow, some
Mhm.
way. Same with all big shows, but um, yeah, it was not. It was underwhelming. Nothing special about it. It was a technically good but boring, I
And it was
guess, is
only
one way to put
7
it.
minutes too, so it wasn't even enough time for the respective talents to really showcase what they can do.
Yeah,
It was just kind of like a okay, get this over with type of match. It's
filler.
it
Almost
was,
felt like a pre-show match.
yeah, yeah. So that was pretty lame overall, and that's when you look at Wrestle Kingdom cards, there's not a lot of like even singular matches that like are big misses, but this was a big miss.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I hate to say a big miss, but I mean, yeah, I was. I won't say it was unenjoyable. It was just pointless, I guess, is the
yeah.
best way to put it.
It was a terrible use of the talents of the competitors that were in the match.
Sure, sure.
Next for the Never Open Weight Championship, Tamatanga got the best of Shingo Takagi by pinfall. Brother, this was very good
Yeah,
for a 13-minute match. These guys beat the shit out of each other. They told a great story. I like how Tama is just so good, just like DDP was back in the day of getting the diamond cutter off from like any angle,
very RKO-ish
that's
as well.
done. Yeah,
Like
yeah, man. And I guess the only thing I'm confused about is the result because recently news came out that Tamataga is working his last month in New Japan.
hmm
So he wants to go back home. But yeah, Shingo put him over here. I didn't hate it, but
no,
just considering those circumstances, it's just a little bit of a head scratcher with the booking.
exactly head scratcher. That's what I'm here
Yeah.
doing. Like, yeah, hot dog match. Definitely take a look at it because it was fun.
Yeah, I'd give
Um,
it a hot dog too.
So, but I think that the next part is probably one of the more shocking things coming up. But go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Before we get to the next match, though, um, where do you think Tamatanga is going to go?
I'd bet they put the belt on him. I bet he'd stay. He's staying in New Japan.
You think so?
Yeah,
I think he
or
goes.
maybe TNA and some form of a working relationship.
I think yeah. At least you're going to see him in New Japan strong.
Yeah,
Is what I think, and TNA is another option I was thinking of too. Um, Yeah, next for the winner takes all for the IWGP Tag Team Championship.
Buddy, slow up. You are skipping. You're skipping over the New Japan debut of Nick Nemeth. Him
Yeah,
walking to
I
the
mean, I
ring.
was going to talk about that during the triple threat match.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so did it officially happen after this match?
Yeah, that's when they were
Okay.
shown, making their way to the seats. Him and his brother.
So Nick and Ryan Nemeth were in attendance for the January 4th Wrestle Kingdom show, and they were sitting at ringside here. Commentators were asking about what their intentions are and whatnot. Maybe they'll enter into the tag division. Do you think Ryan Nemeth is going to wrestle for New Japan?
No,
Because we know Nick is.
no, I don't.
Yeah. I think he was just
Honestly.
kind of there with his brother.
Yeah, I think it was a support thing, and I think it was his brother doing him that solid of getting him on the biggest show in New Japan. One of the biggest shows of the year for any wrestling
Mhm.
promotion.
Yeah. But this match, though, for the New Japan Tag Team Championships, we had Gorillas of Destiny, different Gorillas of Destiny, ELP and Hikuleo. That's going to be so weird for them to be called Gorillas of Destiny, considering that it was always Tamatanga and Tangaloa. But I
Very
digress.
strange. Very strange.
But they defeated Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi by pinfall to win the tag team championships. I guess I didn't care that much, and I hate to.
Yeah. It's another one of those nothing matches for me. Like no heat, but you know, I think I have not been really into New Japan lately. Like, not that I think that the talent's no good. I just think that there's just something that's just a spark that's kind of missing right now for me. I don't know what
I
it is.
understand. I understand. The matches are all generally pretty good, though.
Yeah,
All in all, but yeah, ELP. I feel like he's just kind of in the wrong spot here in this tag team with Hikuleo. I think Hikuleo's in the wrong spot too.
yeah,
He needs to be like, I don't know, a badass and I don't buy him much as a babyface.
yeah. I don't. I thought both of those guys were kind of on their way out. Um, so I don't
Mhm.
know. I like LP, and I would prefer him as I would almost prefer them as LP as the Shawn Michaels and Hikuleo as the Diesel, right? In that
Yeah,
sort of role. And not that I like Hikuleo quite a bit, but I just as a babyface tag team, you're right. It's just the dynamic doesn't work. It doesn't work for the product. I don't know.
yeah. And they just over the next year, I'd like to see them establish more tag teams that are there. Bishamon, the way that they began, they were two singles guys, but
Yeah,
they've become a great tag team with each other. But it's like you just can't keep putting the belts on them over and over again, and it's kind of like this. We're kind of stuck into that same rotation of guys in the never scene as well. So like I want to see a lot more variety
yeah.
between both of those divisions. All right, next for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, El Desperado defeated Hiromu Takahashi.
This one was a humper.
This gets a hot dog for me,
Yeah, for
for
sure,
sure.
for
I
sure.
loved it. El Desperado has evolved so much as a professional wrestler, as a character. I'm just really really digging his work
And
right now.
Takahashi, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, the longer I see him, the more he just becomes one of my favorite wrestlers in New Japan. Like, he's
Oh
just
yeah,
the most consistently great wrestler that has just carried that fucking division on his back for
100%.
so many years,
I think it
man.
was
Like,
oh, go ahead.
no,
Sorry.
I'm just saying, like, I fucking like he's one of my favorites, and I he's just I think he's very underrated as far as those Japanese wrestlers that you hear about all the time. His
Mhm.
name isn't brought up in the
It's not
states
brought
enough.
up enough. You're right.
It's not.
And I think that he is one of the best to ever do it too. I
Yeah,
mean, Rocky Romero on commentary said that the three men that he considers to be the most synonymous with the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship was the original Tiger Mask, Toru Siyama, The second was Jushin Liger, and the third was Hiromu Takahashi.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Hiromu's great, man. And I feel like he needs to either move to the heavyweight division.
See,
I
that's what I was. You were just go ahead, but I'll make my point
he
after.
either
Go ahead.
needs to move to the heavyweight division, or let's see what's going on like in America. I would like to see him have a run in America with some, whether it be TNA or AEW. I would like to see him connect with American audiences, because I think that he really can do it with his charisma.
I think he very much could connect with American audiences, and I will completely disagree with you. I think the reason why he's so successful and has become so synonymous with that title is because he didn't use that division as a stepping stone, which a lot of people do. He made it his personality, he made it his style, he made it his division, and
Mhm.
I would rather see him go to America in a TNA capacity and maybe like an X division type capacity than move up a weight class.
Yeah,
Personally,
and I respect that. And I'm not necessarily saying that like him, you know, like the junior heavyweight division is a step down, and I do like the fact that like he hung around for so long and was just so dominant and everything, especially to this point. But like once you've held the belt like 10 times, like what else is there to do?
yeah,
If you're gonna stay in that promotion.
that's a fair
So
point.
like I think he needs to like maybe go after David Finlay, right? Who
I would
knows?
want. I mean, for the global championship,
Mhm.
that would be a fantastic feud. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we just spoiled the next match. David Finlay getting the best of Will Ospreay and John Moxley, if not by very nefarious means,
It
to
had to be.
win
It had
the
to be, right? Like,
inaugural IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. Uh, this was a hell of a fun match, man. It really was. Like I had a blast watching it. I
such an
thought there.
insane difference in styles for three different guys.
Mhm.
That it made for a really really fun match. Um, uh, Finley winning was very very obvious,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah,
will say, I think that this title, this global heavyweight championship, it missed the mark, man. I think that they should just have brought back the IC title.
yeah.
You know
That's
what
what
I mean?
everyone.
Like,
That's how everyone feels.
it's just, I like it. It's a decent looking belt, but like it just doesn't have the same allure that the IC title had for New Japan.
Well, I
In my
like that it
opinion,
has the white strap, so
yeah,
like
it matches
it's
that.
similar to the IC title.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that some of the sequences between Osprey and Moxley in this match, like go out of your way to watch. Um,
Do you
I,
think? Do you think that this, and this is maybe just wishful thinking on my part, but do you think that this maybe leads to Osprey's first match being against Moxley at Revolution?
maybe.
Because who boy, you and we gonna have fun with that.
Wait, so you would think that by this point, that point of revolution, that Osprey is going to be there, right?
He said he was gonna be at Revolution. When he
Oh,
signed his contract, he said he was gonna be there.
sweet, awesome.
So I don't know what capacity, but I'd assume that they have some sort of match lined up for him. So I'm super intrigued. I hope it doesn't end up being. It's probably going to be a fucking tag match against Jericho. Uh,
Jesus fucking Christ.
but yeah,
Please
he's
no.
supposed to be there, so I'm pretty fucking hype about that.
Yeah. And of course, this match ended with David Finlay getting in the face of Nick Nemeth. And they brawled, and they had to be broken up by security and everything. And we're off to the races. Dolph Ziggler is finally in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah,
And can I just say this? I would say for the last 10 years or so, whenever somebody is defending New Japan against WWE, there's always that one comment where you're just like, you know what? Nobody in WWE could really hang with the New Japan style. except for like Dolph Ziggler. And now he's actually here, and it's just it's crazy to me because he's always the one that was like brought up in that work rate conversation.
I'm gonna be
New
honest,
Japan versus
bro.
WWE.
This is awesome because it really did surprise me. It is not something I saw coming at all. Um, so
Me neither. Me
I
neither.
was I thought for sure you would see Shelton Benjamin and not uh
Yeah, someone that's been there before.
yeah, but this
Yeah,
is great, man. Um and man, if anybody can make Finley look like a bajillion dollars, it's gonna be Dolph. And it's gonna
absolutely.
be really hard to stop calling him Dolph, so I apologize in advance, Dolph.
Do you think couldn't you have seen like Fit Finley give Dolph a call and just be like, "Oh, you need to work with my son as soon as you get over
Maybe.
there."
I mean, maybe that was kind of his idea, Nick's Nemeth's idea too, right?
Yeah,
Maybe he was like, I know Fit, I love Fit. If I'm not gonna be here and I have the chance to go to New Japan, why wouldn't I work with his kid? You know what I mean?
yeah,
I'm sure he's met the kid before 100
yeah.
times. So I think it's a natural fit, and I think it'll really help boost the credibility of Finley even more than beating Osprey and Moxley, by nefarious means in a triple threat. I think it'll really help his profile quite a bit.
Definitely.
So
All right. So next we had the epic rematch. Okada finally got the best of Bryan Danielson from their match at Forbidden Door. Now I just want to say this. Um, I messed up with my match of the year candidate. And I want just because like I love the fact that Bryan was able to continue a match with a broken arm. But objectively, I feel like this match at Wrestle Kingdom was a lot better than the one that they had at Forbidden Door.
agreed.
So
There was
like
a different freedom to it for something. It felt
yeah, they
different.
were able to do a lot more. They had a lot more time. But yeah, this gets a hot dog and a handshake from me, bro. This set
Samesies.
a very
Samesies.
high bar for
Hmm.
matches for the rest of the year, as anything on January 4th should. Um, but yeah, I loved it. I thought it was just the best. I like the story of Danielson just pissing off Okada enough to where like he got Okada so riled up that Danielson couldn't stop Okada. And then that's exactly what he needed to do because Danielson is the one that's hanging it up and Okada is the one that's going to be continuing his long legacy. So it was good
Yeah,
stuff.
no. And it's one of those things where I know people are going to call for a trilogy, but like maybe that's just all you need. Like maybe we just don't need another one, right?
I don't think
Like
we do either. I don't think we
it,
do either. And
it doesn't seem necessary. Let Danielson have, another 30-minute match with somebody else that deserves it, that needs it, that wants that could use
and
the rub.
the same thing with the next ZSJ match that's going to happen in February. Like I think that is just going to ZSJ is going to beat Danielson, and I don't think there will be a rubber match after that.
Nope. And there shouldn't be. I mean, sometimes you don't need a best of series. Sometimes when you're in the division, you play somebody twice a year. You know what I mean? Like it's what it is. So maybe a tiebreaker isn't wholly necessary.
For real, for real. All right, so guys, again, hot dog and a handshake, Smarknado certified banger, Okada versus
Damn
Danielson
it,
from Wrestle Kingdom. So everybody go check that out. And
for sure.
finally, the main event, IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Tetsuya Naito once again became the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship champion against Sonata. And wow, I hear a long sigh.
Like no, I'm fine with the result. I'm just it's what I said earlier, man. There's just no spark. This is not a heavyweight championship division to me that I'm
Wait,
excited
so if you're
about.
fine with the result, are you not fine with the match?
No, it was a good match. It was a good match. Again, it was just not. Again, it's not a heavyweight world championship division that to me is like go out of your way to watch it, make sure it's like it's huge, it's great. It's just like to me it's underwhelming.
I don't. Well, I guess overall as a whole,
Danielson
but like,
Okada was a much more impactful match in the history of wrestling than this world championship match will be.
sure.
I just
But it
so to
doesn't
me
mean
it just outshined it that much.
I didn't love this main event though, because
It was a very good
I
match.
did, and I'm gonna give it a hot dog.
Sure,
Uh,
yeah, hot dog it. Well, hot dog it up, right? You know, maybe even some ketchup and mustard for free of charge. But like, for sure, it just in the past, Wrestle Kingdom. When you look back at Wrestle Kingdom main events, is this going to be the one that's going to be like that blew your socks off?
no, but
No.
like if I was to compare this to like 2013 when Naito went against Okada, and lost, like that was pretty. I don't know.
I think I
It's
hate to say it,
definitely
man. I
not
just
one of
think
the
it's
better
Sonata.
ones.
I think it's just Sonata, man. I just don't buy him as a champion, and I don't think that that's his fault. I think that that was his booking, and
I
it's
think that
not.
there was a lot of fire and personality that was brought out of Sonata in this match, and I think that the problem with Sonata, and yeah, I'll admit this is not an original thought, but it's something that I do agree with, is that when he was, Cold Skull, he was never somebody that really showed a lot of emotion before,
Yeah.
and now that he was put into this spot, it really wasn't that much of a change from how he was when he was Cold Skull. So it is kind of weird that a guy that doesn't have like charisma that just comes off the page has been the champion for this long.
Yeah.
But I think Naito was the right move. I thought it was just
Yes.
the right story to tell with this feud. I think that, like I said last week, um, they could really get something out of Sonata here if this really gets in his head that, no matter what, Naito is always going to be one step ahead of him, no matter what he does. I want to see that bring out a different side of Sonata.
Maybe if
Uh,
we got a nasty heel out of it,
yeah,
maybe it works. But right now, Sonata did nothing for me as champ. You know, his character does nothing for me. It's not for me. And we all know subjective art for him, and it's not a disrespect to him. You know, I think
mhm,
he's a very talented wrestler. I've very much enjoyed a lot of his matches. But just because I enjoy your matches doesn't mean I think that you're, you know, championship material. And I don't
sure.
say that in a rude way. I say it in a,
Yeah,
realistic way.
that's totally fine, man. But I do want to mention that at New Year Dash, one of the I would say the biggest storyline coming out of it was there was a massive brawl at the end between United Empire. Actually, not at the end. It was like in the middle of the show between United Empire and Bullet Club War Dogs,
Yep, I read that.
and it was wild. It was crazy. It's worth checking out. So it's going to culminate in 5-on-5 United Empire versus War Dogs, Will Ospreay's last New Japan match, and that's going to happen February 18th.
That's
And it's
gonna
going to be in a steel cage.
steel
And New Japan
cage.
Pro Wrestling hasn't done a steel cage match in 20 years. So I'm
Uh,
really looking forward to this.
what show is that gonna be at? Like Battle in the Valley? No, not Battle in the Valley.
No, I don't. Let me look it up.
It's in Japan though. It's not in the United States.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be in Japan.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Fantastica Mania. I don't know.
CMLL? No.
That's what it says when I looked it up. 2/18/24 NJPW presents CMLO Fantastica Mania. Then again, I think that this February 18th date that I said might be just completely wrong.
I think
So
it might be February 13th.
yeah, it might be like the week before or something like that. But
Yeah.
regardless, it's going to be a lot of fun. Despite what the fair points that Dan made about New Japan not really having a spark anymore, it doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't some things to look forward to. There's still a lot of like great up and coming talents there that just have
Yeah.
not reached that echelon yet. So but a lot of times with wrestling, it's so fun and it's so rewarding just watching that journey. So I encourage anyone to go out there and watch New Japan because I don't think there's a promotion out there that does it better in terms of just like building an arc from when somebody is like very much just getting their feet wet in professional wrestling to where they become a superstar and beyond. You
Hmm.
know, so I give them my full endorsement with respect to that, with respect to building stars, because look at their track record, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I am not poo-pooing the idea that they can come back. I'm sure that they can. I'm just saying, to me right now, it's not something that I'm,
Yeah,
rushing to,
I
unfortunately.
absolutely, and definitely fair points that they just don't have that star right now.
Absolutely.
So, Dan, how about we talk some Dynamite
Sure,
from
man.
last week? I know we're a
Yeah, yeah,
week late, guys, and there's no week
yeah, yeah,
episode tonight, but there are some significant things that happened on that show.
yeah,
Um, let's just talk about the first thing that comes to my mind.
yeah, yeah. Go
Uh,
ahead. I'll give
Deanna
you my thoughts.
Purrazzo making her debut that spoiled Mariah May's debut against Queen Aminata. Um, I think
Okay,
that the acquisition of Deanna is fucking huge for the
let
women's
me say
division.
three things about this here match.
Yeah.
The acquisition of Deanna is incredible. Deanna versus Mariah as a short-term mini feud is going to be awesome. And the match is going to fuck around and be great. And it was reported today that Aminata is signed with AEW, which is awesome because man,
Uh,
I really fucking think she's awesome. That
100%.
so she's
And
been doing a lot of good work and definitely a good addition to that roster.
yeah, that's great news because she's somebody that hasn't really reached a huge level of like recognition on the scene.
Hmm.
She's turned enough heads to where they can really take her on as a project.
Yep, talented and stands out and just has like a great look, a great style. I haven't heard her on the mic, so I'm not sure where that goes, but that's something that comes with time, and I'm just excited to see her as a part of that division. If not, the Ring of Honor, like she's been a lot in Ring of Honor a lot, so that's a good spot for her as well. So for good for
Cool.
her.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think Deanna is really big for the women's division in AEW, which has been severely lacking for a very long time.
Sure.
Um, More so in direction than talent, though.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just you kind of have to take these acquisitions with a grain of salt with respect to it. You can have all the talents in the world, but it just matters what you do with them, and
I, I,
so
I'm gonna give you a bit of my, wishful thinking slash, well, pretty much that's it. There's a big match, a big women's match tonight, right? A lot of talent. Most of the big names in the division currently, right? I think that it being at Daly's place and the rumors still out there that Mercedes could sign, I don't know if it happens tonight, but I think that you could be very well looking at a reset of that division and the future of it, right?
yeah,
So I'm hoping, because I think that, and a lot of people say it would be a downgrade for Mercedes to show up on Dynamite in Jacksonville in front of so many people, but you have to realize all the other people that have been with AEW that have debuted there to know people. Um, this is their flagship show. This is a show that has the most eyes on it every single week, even more so than any pay per view they ever do, right? So to me, it's a no brainer here. If you have a full up blown schmaz and Mercedes is the one that shows up at the end and says, "I don't know what you all are fighting for," blah blah blah, CEO of the division, blah blah blah, like that gives you just a foothold in going forward with arguably right at this moment a stronger women's division than WWE has.
yeah.
So I
Let's
don't know.
just kind of see if it does happen. I mean,
Fingers crossed.
she is going to elevate the division. But
No doubt about it.
my biggest concern about Mercedes, and I can't help it, is just can she stay healthy?
Yeah, no, and it's a valid question, completely valid question.
Yeah.
And I'd rather err on the side of yes and hopeful than think negatively about it. But
Mhm.
history has shown that she is a little injury prone. But
Very
who
much.
knows?
Yeah. Um, I gotta say about this show too. We had what I feel, and we're early in the year. It has. It's currently the current champion for TV match of the year, in my opinion, and that was Takeshita versus Darby Allin.
It's pretty fucking brutal.
Yeah,
I'll definitely say that.
I thought it was
Yeah.
fantastic, man, and it just like it reminded me of once again just how much I miss Takeshita and how like you need to get that man on TV. I don't expect him to be on every show, but he does have to be on at least Dynamite or Collision every single week.
Yeah, he's getting there, and
Mhm.
I think that they're showing that they want to use him more often. Um, and so it's great. I'm excited for it. It was definitely a ass whipping
Mhm.
of epic proportions, but yeah, it was a really really good match. I would say a hot dog match. I mean, probably TV match of the year, but we're 10 days into the year, so I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
yeah,
hold
I'm
my
gonna give
breath on that
that
one.
that gets a hot dog from me, bro. No doubt about it. Um, but yeah, so other things that happen on this show. I mean, of course, the main event. You had Swerve and Daniel Garcia, and I thought that was so good. Both of these guys. I hope the best for both of them over the course of this year. Both of these men should, in their own respective divisions, be holding gold at some point this year.
I mean, but what are their respective divisions? Where do
Well,
you?
Swerve is in the AEW World Championship division, and
Daniel
Garcia
Garcia
is
is not that good.
anywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see Garcia in that Triple Crown, you know, division against Eddie, or the international division against Orange Cassidy for sure.
Yeah.
I bet you. I mean, I'm sure they've wrestled one on one. It's just not coming to mind. I'm sure that they could put on a really good match together
OC
on a
and,
pay per view.
and Garcia.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, so yeah, so anywhere he wants to be. I think that Daniel Garcia is definitely on his way up this year. I think that he's a guy that TK thinks really highly of, and you're highly likely to see that
hmm
this year.
And let's just talk about it now. I mean, he was in a really big moment at the end of Collision this week.
Yeah, it shocked the shit out of me, man. I'll tell you what, I big pop,
Yeah,
big
and
pop in
for
the
those of you
crowd for
that
me.
missed it, it was FTR versus House of
House of
Black.
Black.
Hot dog. I give that a hot dog too.
Hot dog. And bro, I'm gonna tell you what. I feel like we're skipping ahead here, and I'm fine with it because I just want to talk about Collision. Because as some of you listening might know, I was there in attendance. I was about 6 rows back from the ring behind Nigel and Kevin Kelly and Schiavone. Um, Man, as much as I liked FTR versus House of Black, Eddie versus Trent was better.
Yeah.
It was better.
Well,
No, it had all the feelings
um,
in in the arena, in the moment. It was a better match. And again, I'm an Eddie
I
Kingston guy.
listen.
I'm an Eddie Kingston
I
guy.
yeah, and I understand that, and I love Eddie as much as the next guy, but like I feel like I didn't like Eddie versus Trent as much as I did the tag match because I feel like Eddie versus Trent doesn't really have a lot of heat for me. Just like Trent
Yeah,
is, yeah, he's good and everything, and I know they're going to have a really good match, and I expect them to have a really good match. But there was an emotional element to FTR versus the House of Black, especially with
bro.
Dax's uh,
Do you? Hey, I
family being there.
man. I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck about Dax's family. The angle is stupid. It's
Okay.
every single fucking person. It's I can wrestle great and I've been doing this forever and my family and tequila and blah blah blah. I don't give a fuck.
But
I don't give a fuck.
I was also into just like how sinister Malachi Black was
Yeah,
with like the family and shit, like
I like it.
I just think it has a storyline to
It
it. So
has a
like
storyline
I
to
just
it,
feel like
but
all those elements
but
together.
I also like to me good wrestling can be a storyline. Defending a title can be a storyline. Like I understand that this is we won't call it fake, we'll call it predetermined, right? The outcomes, right? But at the end of the day, boxing doesn't have storylines. UFC doesn't have storylines, but well,
Yeah.
boxing not so much, but UFC is still popular. So to me,
Mhm.
you can get over a division that is just about fighting, right? And that's what I think that division should be. It should just be about fighting spirit and just really good wrestling. Not everything has to be I'm going to come to your house and burn it down. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it can just be fuck you, I'm going
I
to beat your
understand that.
ass. I don't know.
I understand that. I just like the tag match better.
I'm
But
very
like,
passionate
like
about this, man.
I like I like that being the message of the Continental Division is that it should be about like fighting spirit.
Literally, that's all it should be.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
dude,
I've subscribed to
it
it.
was great. It was great. But you know me, they were both hot dog matches, right? For me, especially
Mhm.
just feeling it and being in there with the crowd and just going crazy with everybody was just the best part of it. But just truthfully, I don't know. I guess I'm just FTR. A lot of times, I'm just like, man, sometimes.
Well, they can be annoying.
Yeah,
They can be
and
annoying.
this storyline
But
does nothing for me.
I like to separate how annoying they can be outside of the ring from their in ring
Yeah.
context and like from in the I think that they're compelling characters just within the context of the show.
Yes. Yes. They
Yeah.
they're very good wrestlers, and I understand what they do. But you brought up the storyline, and to me, their storylines are always the same. And I think that Dax is super fucking goofy.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's just the same shit over and over and over again. But
Hmm.
both matches were absolutely excellent. Um, it was really great to see. Um, Not only the workhorsemen, obviously, in the opening match against fucking Sting and Darby Allin. Those dudes definitely deserved it. Um, you know, playing the heels in North Carolina, you know what I mean? Former DPW tag champs. Um, so that was super fun. Sting, crazy over. Ric Flair.
Hmm.
I hate to say this, man. I was the only person in that whole arena that was fucking booing him.
I know.
The
I could have told you
I was the only person,
that.
and I'm not gonna lie to you, I got some filthy looks for it. This is
Yeah,
this
let's not
this is
like
Flair country, bro.
listen.
I hate it.
No. Hear me out,
I'm
okay?
hearing you.
When we are in Greensboro, when Ric Flair is out, let's not boo him. Let's not
Turn
cheer
our
him. Let's
backs.
just do nothing.
Turn our
Let's just do
backs.
nothing. I don't want to draw attention
Should
to
we? Can
ourselves,
we?
Dan.
Can we? Should we? We should kneel like Kaepernick.
Oh my god. All right, cool. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna make it to the parking lot.
Probably not, but whatever.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Fine. Complete silence.
Northeast guy moves down south, thinks everything's okay.
It is not okay.
No,
It's actually a lot better than it was, but hey, still not okay. Let's carry on with
no.
the wrestling.
What else did you like on Collision, Dan?
Oh man.
What's you?
Uh, Andrew Everett, man, it was good to see the giant in real life. It's not often you get to see a man that's 7'4", over 400 pounds. Um, it was amazing to see Claudio get him up for the choke slam. Claudio's a really strong dude. No, Andrew Everett's really funny, man. He was chopping it up with the crowd before during the commercial breaks. Uh,
You know what I gotta say though is like, I really do like Andrew Everett, and obviously he can sell very very well, and that's why they put him in the spots that they
yeah,
do. But I would like to have him have like when they come around to Carolina quite a bit. Give the guy like a 5 minute, 10 minute
I would
match
love to see him on
against
Ring
some.
of Honor. There's not a
Yeah,
lot. There's not a lot of time on AEW as it is, and as much as I like Everett, I would rather see a contracted, AEW talent that's not doing something get that spot because they're there for a reason. But as a Ring of Honor, semi-regular, when they come in, sure, love that idea. That'd be fantastic. Um,
yeah.
dude, I know that you guys kind of question it when we said that when Hook challenged uh Samoa Joe, right? But I'll tell you, man, the reaction for that guy that he got in the crowd when that video played was insane, bro. People fucking
I don't
love that
listen.
dude. Love him.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And Hook is hella over and everything. Um, I'm not against it. I would only be against it if they did it for like a pay per view.
Oh yeah, it's a
If
battle
they
of the
do it
belts
for an
match.
episode of Dynamite, yeah. If they do it for an episode of Dynamite, they're doing it for Battle of the
Oh, I don't know.
Belts.
That's the way I would do it. You know what I mean?
Well, if they did it for Battle of the Belts, at least that's something interesting to get people to watch
Exactly.
that fucking show.
But I'll say this again.
So like,
A lot of people hate on the champion being targeted from all sides, man. I fucking love it, especially if it's Joe. Like Joe is just
mhm.
gonna be like, "Yo, I'll fucking beat the shit out of you, bro."
Bro, I'm gonna tell you this right
Bro,
now. You know what came to mind? You know what came to mind when I was thinking of Hook and Samoa Joe wrestling? 1997, Taz suplexing Bam Bam Bigelow over his head. And I think Hook is gonna fucking suplex Samoa Joe over his head. They're gonna have a moment, and it's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna help get Hook over. Of course, Samoa Joe's gonna retain, but I feel like something of the level of Taz, slamming Bam Bam Bigelow is gonna happen.
I'm checking for confirmation here, but if I'm not mistaken, give me a second here. I'm looking it up, but I believe that Hook. Oh no, it was 9 months after a different pay-per-view, not the one where he wrestled Bam Bam Bigelow, but it was like 9 months after some pay-per-view that Taz had. Hook was born, and
Oh, really?
yeah, I can't remember specifically what it was, but he was born in '99, so it would have been like whatever the pay-per-view was in October. Yeah, October
Mhm.
of '98. So whatever that pay per view was.
I can't remember the East ECW calendar. I can tell you November was November to
Oh
remember.
really? You don't say. um,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So
yeah. But yeah, I'm excited for it, man. I think it's gonna be a very fun match.
I like it.
Hook
I think
versus
that, and I
Joe.
think that Wardlow and Joe will be a good match. I think that anybody that ultimately goes after Joe, I mean, I don't think any of them are gonna win, but it's definitely to the point where it's gonna help put eyes on people, man. Joe never got the chance to be a proper world champion at WWE level, man. He is gonna fucking ride this one till the wheels fall off.
For sure, for sure. I'm actually glad that you got to see a big return live um, on this Collision show.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to see the return of Griff Garrison.
Who? I literally before so there was not a lot of BTE watchers around me, obviously. But as soon as he comes out, I go,
Oh, they sound like really cool
I
people.
go, who the fuck is Griff Garrison? And like this lady next to me was trying to like explain it. I was like, lady, you don't get it. It's fine. Like I appreciate it.
He was in the Varsity
Yeah,
Blondes.
I get it. And then like immediately after I said that, he was like, I know some of you are asking who the is Griff Garrison. So like, and I want to ask you, like, it was really cool to see Edge, huge pop for Edge. I still contend that the pop for Eddie was bigger than Edge, but and Sting, but I digress. Um, what are your feelings about the open challenge and it being Griff Garrison. Like, do you hate it? Do you like? I mean, I kind of
Yeah, I think this is an example of like Copeland met Griff Garrison backstage, and he took a real liking to the kid, and he was just like, "Oh, you know what? How about you wrestle me on TV? That'd be great." And then you actually see what you get, and it's just
I
like,
felt very and again, no disrespect to Griff. Like, I know he's actually doing okay things on Ring of Honor and he's with Maria and that helps his profile, but like I felt really bait and switched when like the open challenge came because I was like, it could be so many people. And then I'm
yeah,
like,
no.
really? Like this
And I think it
one?
was
Come on.
if I had to book this show, man, I would have put Commander teaming with somebody else and would have had Brian Keith answering this challenge for
Yeah.
I mean, he was in the building.
He was in the building. I'm not, totally thrilled with the use of Brian Keith there. And I almost got in a fist fight with a guy who you probably saw on TV with Sting face paint because as you would probably know, I was cheering my fucking head off for Brian Keith, screaming as hard as I could. And I was like, I don't know what I said. I think I said I love you, Brian Keith, or some shit like that. And the guy was like, well, that makes one of you. And I was like, I'll fucking kill you, bro. We don't slander Brian Keith in this house.
I just I don't know, man. I hate wrestling fans that just want to destroy fun.
Brian Keith is amazing, and
Yeah.
truthfully, it was great to see him in person. Um, I screamed my head off for him. I was acknowledged by him. That was cool to me. So I had a heck of a night. I would say, all in all, worth every penny. I am a short king, so at the end of the day, I don't recommend floor seats for any short kings. So I'm glad that when we're at Revolution, we're on the first level. I think we'll be able to see it a little bit better. But at the end of the day,
Oh,
man,
good shit.
I
I'm glad.
had a fucking blast, bro. AEW shows are just really fun because you often are with like-minded fans, right? Some of them are ridiculous, true, but I think that I have a lot more fun at AEW shows than WWE shows, and that's not really a tribalism.
Oh, it's a totally different crowd. WWE shows its families.
Yeah, and I had and truth be told, man, I had an amazing time when we went to the takeover, right, at the NXT takeover. I had
Oh, that's a different
I
crowd
had
too,
fun.
though.
I
Too.
had fun at Mania. Like, I get it. Like, if
Yeah.
you go in with a mindset of the kind of crowd you're going to be dealing with and who you're going to interact with, it's really fun. So, but it's definitely more our kind of people at the AEW crowds. The more, I don't want to say hardcore wrestling fans, but the more
Yeah. Of
underground
course.
wrestling fans is the best way to put it. So, alternative wrestling fans.
And oftentimes those are wrestling fans that have more of an appreciation, but not all the time.
No, and
A lot of times, you get the fans that have a lot of appreciation for it. Then you get the fans that used to have a lot of appreciation for it, but have become completely cynical.
yeah,
And that's something that I remain very like conscious of to make sure that I never get to that point.
there's terrible fan
And
bases for
that's why
everything.
you should watch what you love
There's terrible
and not
there's just terrible fan bases for everything, and there's no reason to hate or tear down on something you dislike. Like, yeah, we say there's matches we don't like and there's wrestlers that we don't typically like, but like, we don't tear down whole entire corporations. And I always like to preface anything I say about negatively about a wrestler with something, at least semi positive, because these men and women and binary folks and whatnot or non-binary folk rather are putting their health and well-being on the line to entertain us. So do I
Mhm.
do I love the decision making process at certain levels of wrestling companies? Of course fucking not. But I love wrestling, and it's the tribalism is just not for me anymore, man. It's just so frustrating.
It's very annoying.
But that's there.
Very
That's
annoying.
very much an internet, Twitter, IWC wrestling bubble that not every fan lives in. So you got to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah. Get off the X,
Yeah,
my
I
friend.
mean, I gotta scroll on something mindlessly while I'm, letting my kid run amok.
Touche.
Touche.
And as always, friends, follow us on Instagram at Smarknado, on Twitter at Smarknado1.
Don't stay off the
Leave
X.
a 5-star. Yeah. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Go check out our link tree. All our fun stuff is there. Dan.
Right up there. Right up there. Look at it. No, it's over that way.
Yep. See that QR code?
See the QR code? My finger doesn't work. Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Keep watching wrestling.